So this is more shit's going sideways with Hasan. So let's see just how bad it is, shall we?
Hey, what's up, guys? Riff here. So it looks like I'm going to lose another round of my sanity here because, yes, Hasan Piker.
Poor Rev. All bundled up nice and tight and restrained in that straight jacket, struggling desperately, trying to get free and just can't get out. And oh God, why not me? Damn it, Rev, I'll trade places with you. I'll happily trade places with you, Rev. Just why not me? Damn it.
He simply will not stop. He has been absolutely losing his mind, and there's so much to cover today, so let's just get into it, okay? So we're going to look at some things, including another round of puff pieces.
Oh, yeah. This one. Okay, I'm kind of curious if Red is going to pop my tweet on this because I tweeted about this. I actually put out a tweet about this article that CNN put out where they glazed the fuck out of Hasan again. This is another one that was like they focused on his muscles and his cutting jawline. And like this was like this Harmet Kaur author just was verbally gobbling Hasan's cock the entire article. Like, oh, how Hasan is just so fucking wonderful. At the same time, he's saying he wants to stream less in 2026. Gee, I wonder why he wants to stream less in 2026. Is it because he's losing his fan base? Is it possibly because he's getting dumpstered by his own fans that have been around for years? Could that possibly be why he wants to stream less, perhaps?
That are trying to portray Hasan as some sort of political hero, and of course...
Oh, and sorry, Rev. By the way, notice the picture that they chose to use for this article. Notice anything kind of interesting about the photo that they chose to use? You know, the one where he's wearing his Mao suit? They actually picked the photo where he's wearing his Chairman Mao suit. That is the photo that CNN elected to use for their cover piece. Yeah, Hasan pretending to be Winnie the fucking Pooh.
They literally used the photo of him cosplaying as Chairman Mao for the article.
Yes!
Then we're going to be looking at some more evidence. In case there wasn't enough evidence, more evidence of him regularly shocking his dog, Kaya. Then, of course,
here we go.
He's going to be blaming Asmongold for everything. In fact, he makes delusional claims that Asmongold is losing his audience to Hasan and that Asmongold is completely obsessed with him. Then we're going to see Hasan's own audience scolding him for being a misogynist. And then we're going to look at another round of Hasan glazing up Houthi terrorists. That's right.
Again?
And then we're going to end with Hasan being mocked because he wants to once again claim he is a good socialist. Yeah, there's a lot, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, like, this is over the past 24 hours. I really want to hammer that home. This is all, like, in the last 24 hours. Like, anyone else, you maybe have, like, one of these moments a year. He had, like, 5 of them in the last 24 hours. But let's jump right into it with the puff piece released by CNN. They're doing some really brave stuff over at CNN. Now, you can see the headline, Hasan...
And of course, absolutely no bias by this author. Because of course, there would be absolutely no bias towards Hasan, the champion, the supposed champion of Palestine. No bias whatsoever by author Harmet Kaur. None whatsoever. I'm sure it's a
Ringling Brothers
coincidence.
needs to track Hasan down because he's obviously a runaway clown.
He does belong in a fucking circus, that's for goddamn sure.
Hasan Piker wants to stream less in 2026. Finally, an opinion he has shared that I think we can all agree on. That's a big Hasan W right there. But of course, you can see the quotes here. I think people are very fed up with the lack of change from either major party. I think it's causing them to look for alternatives. Yes, they're going to be looking for alternatives like Hasan Piker. And I cannot believe a major news network is using this photo of him cosplaying as Chairman Mao.
I absolutely can believe it. Because A, it's CNN, and B, the author is I'm going to hazard a guess. Yes, I'm guessing based upon the name, but let's face it, in an article that glazes the fuck out of Hasan, yeah, you have a pro-Palestinian author blatantly glazing the fuck out of the guy who is very pro-Palestine and pro-communist. So is it any surprise that this person would write this article and use this fucking photo of him cosplaying as a communist leader in the article? Is anyone at all shocked by this? Anyone at all? I didn't think so.
From the Streamer Awards, you know, Chairman Mao, who's responsible for somewhere between 40 to 70 million deaths in Chinese history because of famine and executions due to his absolute lack of leadership and narcissism and just overall cruelty. Yeah, that's the image they're going for. This is the alternative everyone's looking for. But let's go into the article itself. Describing himself, Hasan says, what I do is basically AM radio, but for Zoomers. The 34-year-old streamer Hasanabi, to his 3 million followers, flips between a dizzying number of tabs, offering political commentary on the day's news to an audience of mostly young men.
Okay. Hasan doesn't offer political commentary. Let's get this straight right now. Hasan cosplays as a political pundit. We need to make this very clear. He is cosplaying as a political pundit. When in reality, all he is someone that pretends to give a fuck about politics, pretends to actually promote socialism, pretends to promote communism, when he's actually a closet capitalist. Well, literally everything Hasan does is for the express purpose of enriching himself. He is not AM radio for Zoomers. He is an FM shock jock whose only purpose is to make himself rich by shocking the fuck out of people and making them go, oh my God. That's all he is. He's pretending to be a democratic socialist, pretending to be a communist. It's all fake. It's 100% fake, and all he cares about is making himself rich and basically, like, having people glaze him up all the time and say, "Oh, you're the best, Hasan." He is a narcissistic narcissistic capitalist. Flat the fuck out. Blatant narcissism, blatant capitalism. I would even go so far as to say he goes beyond capitalism and goes in, and kind of delves into what's the word I'm looking for? Oligarchy. I would even go a bit so far as to say Hasan thinks of himself as an oligarch, not a socialist and not a communist. For him, it's all about money. It's Baconator. That expression doesn't even work anymore. A communist with a Gucci bag, that doesn't even work. That whole thing worked maybe some time ago. It doesn't work anymore. It doesn't, because he's not a communist. He's not a socialist. He is 100% a narcissist, a narcissist that only cares about enriching himself and receiving as many accolades as he can to prop up his fragile little girl ego. That's all he is.
He's not sounding off on the culture or offering dating advice. He's tearing into...
We want dating advice from the guy who said, and I quote... Okay, I've got to be very careful when I say this. I will paraphrase his quote. Old enough to count, old enough to mount, ? That is a direct quote from Hasan when he was pretending like he was a gym bro. He literally uttered those words, and he's going to offer dating advice. Oh, you didn't hear that? Yeah, back before he pretended like he actually knew something about politics, there was I forget the show that he was on. First and foremost, he basically called Miley Cyrus a slut. So yeah, he said, I always knew Hannah Montana was a little slut. Yes, he did say when he was drunk off of his ass on one of his streams, sex with humans is the best kind of sex. And then during the same podcast where he said Hannah Montana is a little slut, he said I forget what age group he was referencing, so that's why I'm saying I paraphrase this, but he literally uttered the words, and this is a verbatim quote of Hasan's. Old enough to count, old enough to mount, ? That is an exact quote of what he said on the show that he was on before he developed his own stream. And he's going to offer dating advice. The guy who has talked about fucking animals along with his uncle, and has talked about basically, do children have the right to consent to sex? That's the person offering dating advice.
Right-wing figures or the policies of the Trump administration. I think instead of tearing into, I think you meant seething and crying helplessly about these people that get under his skin. But anyways, watch the turn of this article. This is like the signature
here we go.
Of a Hasan Piker puff piece. He's also 6'4" in jacked,
and a brothel,
in an era where the political right is fixated on hyper-masculine attributes. Absolutely shameless. Shameless, ladies and gentlemen. We have seen this before with these articles. They're talking on the one hand about how much of a political hero he is, and then they add in there how attractive they think he is.
Because this pro-Palestinian author that is desperate to gobble up Hasan's inverted micropenis is desperate to paint Hasan as some kind of a Democrat Party superhero. That's what this is all about. That's why you started off with the offered dating advice and tearing into right-wing figures, but he's also this huge, built like a brick shithouse guy, and they're trying to paint him as some kind of like left superhero.
This is weird. You're literally trying to promote someone as some sort of political pundit, and you can't stop talking and glazing up his physical appearance. It once again proves that if he looked like this, his audience and all these glazers would abandon him in 1 second. 100% true.
And they have.
That. But the article
and
continues.
They have. That's the overriding point. They have. She has had multi-year-long subscribers to his stream that have lately been calling him out on stream for his bullshit and getting banned. He is losing his supporters, longtime supporters, because they're finally able to see through his bullshit, and they're calling him out on it, and he's banning him for it.
And actually manages to get more embarrassing. So it says, this year, these credentials made Piker a subject of political and media fascination. Yeah, people were really fascinated with how this guy makes outrageous statements, advocates for political violence, and shocks his dog live on stream. That was very fascinating. I'm sure he really enjoyed the extra attention, because not everything's a puff piece. I mean,
and leave us not forget, he tried to get in with to Zoran's party and got kicked out.
This is why I'm in full support of mandatory military service.
There's a good argument to be made for that. Yeah, but don't forget that he also got kicked out of Zoran Mandami's party. They literally told him while he was on stream, he broadcasted to the world, they literally said to him, "You're not on the list." And kicked him out of the party. And he just like coped and seethed and whined in the alley, going, "We just got kicked out of the party." Oh yeah, the Democratic operatives are really courting him. They're kicking him out of their parties, and they're actually distancing themselves from him publicly during debates. Don't forget, Hasan Piker came up during the New York mayoral debate, and Mamdani said, I disagree with everything Hasan says. I forget what his exact words were, but he basically said, Hasan Piker does not speak for me. So yeah, the Democratic operatives are not courting him. They are not.
There's regular national media coverage he's gotten that is not good. And also on social media, we know how that's going. But anyways, they say Democratic operatives reportedly courted him. Yeah, reportedly, according to Hasan.
I think he disavowed more than just the 9/11 comment. He disavowed Hasan in total. In total, he disavowed everything Hasan said. He basically said Hasan Piker does not speak for me.
Democratic operatives reportedly courted him. Yeah, reportedly, according to Hasan, that happened, by the way. Journalists covered him at length. Strategists and pundits looked to him to understand how liberals might win over young men, a demographic that broke sharply for the GOP in 2024.
So why would they be looking? See, here's why this quote-unquote journalist doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. Strategists and pundits look to him to understand how liberals might win over young men. Really? They're looking to Hasan for how to win over young men when young men are fleeing from Hasan faster than rats jumping off the fucking Titanic. Yet Hasan is not courting young men. Hasan is courting. Okay. This is not okay. I should preface this. This is not a commentary upon the demographic that I'm about to speak of as a whole. This is just some very specific individuals. But basically, the young men that Hasan is courting are basically the asexual, effeminate, metrosexual. I don't want to work. I just want the government to give me money so I can sit on my ass and watch YouTube or watch Hasan stream all day demographic. Those are the young, quote unquote, young men that Hasan is courting. All of the rest of the men are going to Asmongold. Asmongold is getting the lion's share of the young men in this day and age. No, not even the wannabe Andrew Tate leftovers, Mike. I'm not even going to say the because it wasn't the people that I just described never went for Andrew Tate in the first place. They hated Andrew Tate. No, those are the ones that go to Hasan because Hasan pretends like he gives a shit about them, which he doesn't. For every one of those young men that I just described that are all about Hasan's stream and think that he cares about them so much, I got news for you. He doesn't give a fuck about you. He does not fucking care. He only cares about himself. He is a textbook narcissist. Everything he does is literally in the service of enriching himself and making himself seem more popular and making himself seem smart. That's literally all he gives a shit about. He doesn't give a shit about you. And the money that you give him, he doesn't care. He just sees you as a wallet and not as a person.
Which some attributed to bro podcasters and streamers like Joe Rogan palling around with Trump. I am telling you, if your party is trying to win over young men, Hasan Piker is literally the last guy you should ever be turning to.
I know, Revan, I know Joe Rogan is a leftist, but here's the thing. when people think, when people, when people like this think left or right, they don't actually look at the politics of the individual. The politics of the individual is immaterial. How they present themselves is, these days, what makes someone left or right. That's the crazy thing. Left and right for people that are like steeped in this area has nothing to do with their politics or their ideologies or their opinions. It all has to do with how they present themselves. Joe Rogan doesn't take, Joe Rogan comes off as very gruff. He comes up as gruff, a rough individual. He has a rough sounding voice. He doesn't sound like someone on the left. So people don't think of him as the left. Asmongold is centrist, but the way he presents himself sounds, in the way he talks, like the manner in which he talks, not the subjects or his opinions on something, but the tone that he uses when he talks sounds to these people that work off of vibes like he's very far right because of the tone he uses. So people are not listening to their work. Yeah, Caleb is another one. He sounds like he's very right because he doesn't take bullshit. Thank you. That's what it boils down to these days. It is not about what your ideology is. It's not about what your politics is. It's how you present yourself and the vibes you give off. That is what people base their opinion on you as to whether or not you are right or left. So Joe Rogan is a leftist, but because his affect is very rough, people go, oh, he must be on the right. Because to be on the left, you have to be constantly preaching about Palestine. You have to constantly preaching about LGBT and shoving that kind of shit down people's throats. You can't be sounding rough. You can't be calling people out on their bullshit. Because if you do, then then that means you're in the center, which these people means you're on the right. And so these days, people work off of vibes, not off of what people say or what they ascribe, what actual ideologies they ascribe to. That's how politics works for a very large chunk of the population these days. They don't look at facts. They don't look at statements. They literally base their politics off of vibes. That's how fucking stupid the younger millennials and the Gen Zers are. Is they have completely ignored anything relating to reality. They don't listen to what people say. They don't look at what people do. And instead they go, he just gives me the vibe of an alt-right because I disagree with everything he says. So he or she gives me the vibe of alt-right. So I'm going to say they're alt-right. That's how it works now. That's how fucking stupid the younger generation is these days.
Ever. But anyways, they round it out here with this. As Democrats set out to find a Joe Rogan of the left,
which is so fucking funny because Joe Rogan is left. This is what these people are doing. If you don't goose step to the cult party line, then they kick you out. Because Joe Rogan is actually left, but because he does not goose step to the cult line, because he doesn't fall to his knees and kiss the ring, Joe Rogan is not considered the left by these kinds of people. And again, because they're working off of vibes.
With his cutting jawline.
It's ironic because they describe a masculine man figure in the paragraph, but they hate masculinity, lol.
Exactly, Raven. They don't like. this is a bunch of people that have no fucking idea what the hell they want. They're only working off of fantasy ideology. They don't actually want to deal with reality, and they're going to twist and morph it to fit their specific desires in that moment. That's why nobody gives a fuck about them anymore.
What does that have to do with anything when it comes to him being a political pundit? Insane glazing. But they continue on and it gets worse. Serious protein intake and empathy for immigrants and trans people came up again and again.
And by the way, trans people that are standing for Hasan, I'm going to tell you right now, he doesn't fucking care about you. To the trans community that so stoically supports Hasan and thinks that Hasan is the fucking messiah of the LGBT movement, I got news for you. You're a prop. You're just as much of a prop as Kaya is to him. He doesn't fucking care about you. He doesn't give a shit about your plight. You are a prop. And that is literally it. I know I come off as sounding like granted, people have accused me of being alt-right and alt-left, so I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to be these days. Newsflash, I'm neither. I come off as being alt-right, at least to some people on the internet, and I am 1,000 times more supportive of trans people than Hasan will ever be. I fully support trans people. Just like the normal, average, everyday person who happens to be trans and is not a fucking activist that is constantly trying to shove ideology down people's throats. Well, Atanashi, to a degree, and before the internet flips their shit, I will explain, to a degree I support kids too, but I support kids getting the psychotherapy to go through that. I do not support them receiving medications or surgeries. Yes, yeah, a fair point and clarity. But it's like, I even support trans kids, but I support trans kids getting the psychological help that they need to work through their issues to determine if this is actually what they're experiencing. But I do not support them getting any kind of physiology or biologically altering medications for surgery until they reach adulthood. Mental health help? Abso-fucking-lutely. I am 100% there and supporting of children getting the mental health help that they need if they're trans to go to basically work out their issues to determine are they actually trans or is there something else, and getting it figured out and getting them the mental health help that they need. Absolutely 100%. I will back that till the day I die. But for biological altering substances or surgeries, not till you're adult.
Wow. What an empath, guys. Also, these serious protein intakes. I wonder what that looks like.
For God's sake.
This is a real photo. If you guys think like the China photos and the recent ones of him are embarrassing and like giga cringe, go back in time and you have stuff like this with cow.
Well, and Raph, I know that most therapy is like they just tell him, oh, you must transition.
What the f*** is that?
That's why when I talked about this yesterday, I specifically said competent, non-enabling therapists. I mean that specific console is that they should receive therapy from licensed, unbiased, fuck, I just lost the word. Non-enabling therapists. I made that. I very specifically said that yesterday.
Cowboy Piker over here. But anyways, yeah, he's got a lot of empathy for trans people, which is true until the point where they disagree with him on anything, and then he'll just berate them publicly. Yep. That's kind of how he works. And also, yeah, he has a lot of empathy for immigrants as well, but certainly not dogs. Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of empathy for dogs,
here we
as
go.
we've seen. But there's some updates regarding that. More evidence that he shocks his dog. In case you are
Here we go.
not convinced somehow with like the 50 different clips of him doing it, here's some more proving that his trainer that he has mentioned on stream, who was watching his dog back in February when Hasan was traveling, he basically used his dog Kaya, Hasan's dog, to promote a shock collar, implying that Kaya and this other dog will approach because they have the collar on, and the other dog that doesn't have the shock collar on will not approach.
Tucker, come.
Now I know what some of you are thinking. This can't be real. This can't be. And you know what? Have you considered that this might be far-right / pro-Israel slander? Yeah, I mean, that's what he was going with the last time this started up. And you know what? That's true. I think Netanyahu literally crafted this entire slander campaign. The trainer is a sleeper.
Okay, Revit, let's be real. Hasan threw his whole narrative out the window day one of him trying to defend it in the first place. Day one of his defense campaign, after he shocked Kaya, she threw his whole narrative out the window. Literally every day that he did it, the existing narrative went out the window and he went with a new one. There was literally a new narrative. The goalposts moved every fucking day that he tried to defend it. It was always a totally no excuse. First it was, there was no shock collar. And she, First it was, she caught her nail on the carpet. Then it was, she wasn't even wearing the shock collar. Then she was wearing the collar, but it's not actually a shock collar, it just beats. Then it was, oh no, I didn't actually shock her. But, what was it? Valkyrie or Cutie Cinderella gave up the ghost on that one and said, yeah, it's taped over it. The literally every day of Collargate, the goalposts got moved by Hasan and his orbiters. They moved the goalposts literally every fucking day. So he threw out the narrative day one of the defense. Yeah, Cutie Cinderella said it on one stream, and Valkyrie said it on another one, I believe. I think they both said it, just on different streams. Yeah, and then I was reaching for my sins. Yeah, he lied every time. He came up with a new lie every fucking time.
Agent for Israel, and
from the start,
this whole thing was a setup. It's just another far-right / pro-Israel lie. This series of clips you just watched, but.
Vibrator, yeah, shock Colorado, no silver.
Where is his dog? I mean, it's there on
She's
screen,
been around for a
but
while.
its amount of featuring has gone down significantly, like by probably like 90%. Like it's almost never on screen anymore. When in the past, Kaya was in her place or position for hours and hours and hours and hours.
I think I mentioned this before when we've seen some Hasan clips. I think I mentioned it, like, where's Kaya? You notice Kaya's not there. For the last umpteen clips of his that we've seen, there's been no Kaya, no Kaya, no Kaya. And I pointed that out.
Every single day. It was a literal mascot, a living, breathing mascot forced to sit on that mat
she
all
stopped
day
being
long
useful as
basically a little placeholder to keep people's attention. But yeah, haven't seen much recently. What does that tell you? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section down below. But of course, it couldn't be a Hasan-related video without a crash out about Asmongold. And boy howdy, did he have a lot to say about Asmongold. In fact, he goes into a very long rant, claiming that Asmongold is completely and utterly obsessed with him, and it is a one-way street where the amount of obsession on Asmongold's side is nowhere near comparable to Hasan in reverse.
Guess who's trying to roast you through your recent comments to his videos? Asmon? I don't care. Okay? He's going to continue doing that.
Yes, you do. Oh, whack off Hasan. Yes, you do. You absolutely do. You literally, when one of your chatters gaslit you into thinking that Asmongold was watching your stream, you started talking like Asmongold was watching, wanting him to come in and say something. You 1000% care. You absolutely do. Because right now, Asmongold is one of the few things that you can that you actually like talking about. It's like that sickness thing where he hates Asmongold, but he loves talking about him because it makes him sick, and it's an never-ending perpetual cycle. So he loves talking about Asmongold. Yeah, Asmon lives rent-free in his head because Hasan is under the mistaken impression that he can farm Asmongold for content. That's the issue. I don't think he needs Asmongold to stay relevant. I think Hasan believes that he can do what Asmongold does. Asmongold farms the fuck out of Hasan for content. He is a master at farming Hasan for content. Hasan thinks that he can do the same thing to Asmongold, but he can't. But he also desperately wants to try and farm Asmongold for content because he thinks because Asmongold is very popular. He's one of the most popular streamers in the world. They knew him more in China than they knew Hasan himself. So he wants to try and talk about Asmon as much as he can because he thinks that by invoking the name of Voldemort, that he can somehow gain traction and popularity, and it might cause more people to come into his stream and check him out. So he's desperately trying to farm Asmongold like the way Asmongold farms Hasan. The difference is Asmongold farms Hasan because Hasan is a lolcow. Hasan trying to farm Asmongold is basically like what the hell's his name from Mike Tyson? Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. The little scrawny guy at the very beginning of his career literally going up against Mike Tyson. You ain't gonna win. And therein lies the difference.
Until more and more people from his audience
Mac,
peel away.
Yes, Little Mac.
And actually, more and more people from his audience peel away and move on to different people.
Not.
Or
no, they're not, Hasan. They're not peeling away. If anything, Hasan, if Asmongold is losing people on Twitch, it's because they're going over to watch him on Kit. If Asmongold is losing any people on any of his audience from Twitch, it's because they're shifting over to Kick to watch him on Kick. And yeah, leave us not forget, like, his numbers on YouTube fucking dwarf anything that Hasan puts out. So he's not losing an audience. They may be shifting around on platforms to suit their needs, but they're not actually departing from Asmon in any way, shape, or form. You, on the other hand, Hasan, are banning people for calling you out on your bullshit. So you are losing people.
To different politics, because there's only so much anti-woke sentiment you can lean into until people realize, like, okay, my financial situation hasn't changed. Like, okay, we're fucking fighting the trans people. We're fighting the wokes. We're fighting all the wokes, but like my rent is still going up.
Yeah, and you know what they're also saying? They're also saying getting all in on the cult of trans or the cult of woke or the cult of DEI, that's also not helping with my rent. Like, they started, like these are people that started off on DEI and the SJA agenda regarding LGBT, like the activist versions. They started out there thinking socialism, you'll pay my rent for me, the government will give me money. And they very quickly realized, oh, no, they won't. They'll enrich the rich and hang my ass out to dry. And at the same time, make my life a living hell. And so that's when they've shifted over to Asmongold, because Asmongold actually isn't a political streamer. Despite the fact that he's the #1 political streamer, he's actually not a political streamer. He talks about social issues. He doesn't talk about politics, he talks about social issues. And that's where people gravitate to. Waxing poetic about the Democratic Party and how Israel is evil and that Palestine is the next fucking coming of Muhammad only gets you so fucking far before people realize you're spewing gobbledygook that doesn't mean a fucking thing. what you're spewing out is not helping my rent like what you just professed to. But Asmongold's actually talking about social issues that do impact things like how the fuck am I going to pay my rent when I've got a million, several million illegal immigrants that are taking jobs, driving up housing prices, driving up crime rates, which drives up prices. And Asmongold's actually talking about that and saying, yeah, boot the fucking illegal immigrants out. You'll see housing prices go down because you're not going to have so many illegal immigrants. They're snapping up houses and driving house prices up. You're not going to see as many illegal immigrants committing crimes, thus driving pricing up in stores and causing you to go into bankruptcy because you're having to spend $100 fucking dollars on 5 items at the grocery store, along with the actual American criminals. Asmongold is actually talking about that shit and actually talking about stuff that would facilitate lowering of prices. And well, that's just it. Now that the prices have gone up, they're never going to come back down. And he said as much. That's what Asmongold said. He said now, once stores raise their prices, they're up for good. They will never come back down ever again. But they went up in the first place because of these reasons. At least partially so.
My job prospects are in the shitter. Okay? There's only so much you can propagandize to a population that is feeling
undoubtedly,
the
Seb,
pain.
undoubtedly.
Okay? That's it. And when that fucking happens, more and more people will peel away. Maybe some of them will come here. The ones who weren't
not
like
peeling
so
away, and yours are going
negatively
over to him,
propagandized against, right?
Cope.
Notice how
Cope
in
and
true
fucking
Hasan
see.
fashion he begins his rant about Asmongold by saying, I don't care. Like, buddy, we know you care. We know you care about Asmongold, what he thinks and what he's up to. We know you care. Can you please spare us this qualifier? We know you care. Please snap out of it. But he goes into some statements there saying that more and more people are peeling away from Asmongold. I would love to see proof of that because everything you can see publicly proves the opposite. Asmongold has been consistently growing for this entire adventure here. Even despite controversies and people trying to ruin him.
Yes, he has.
It still leads to more and more growth. And if you look at his other claims, Hasan is saying some of them are even heading his way. I don't think so, man. Like, I really don't think so. If you look at the streaming numbers, if you combine...
If anything, people that leave Asmongold's stream will look for a stream, at least if they're talking about political or social issues. The majority of people that might depart from Asmongold's stream for whatever reason won't go to Hasan's because they're not going to bounce from one extreme to another. The people that leave Hasan's stream go to Asmongold's stream because Asmongold just talks about social issues and just calls balls and strikes as he sees it. Now, there are plenty of things that people might not agree with him on. Perfect example, Asmongold said something recently in regards to a case of some crazy fucker that blasted some poor old woman in the face with a board that had a giant screw running through it and destroyed one of her eyes. Like, completely unprovoked, the guy literally just walked up and blasted this woman in the face with a weapon. She will now lose her eye. And Asmongold made the statement, like, it was a horrific crime. He was watching the news footage of it. And he made a statement that I vehemently disagree with. Is he out of pocket said, if the police arrest someone and then he goes free, the police should go to jail. Because the cops knew about him, because they had multiple encounters with him, out of pocket, Asmongold said, well, you should throw those cops in jail. And, that out of pocket statement, I was like, fuck no. Hard fucking disagree with that statement because it's not the cops who decide who gets to stay in prison. That's up to the judges. That's up to the prosecuting attorneys. There was a thing that in the news, like later in the news story, that they said like they'd arrested him multiple times and he got charged once. There's behind the scenes stuff that obviously we don't know about, but the cops had clearly encountered him multiple times. But it's not the cops. The cops are not Judge Dredd. The cops do not have the authority to pronounce sentencing on any criminal that they arrest. Yes, he did say he wants the judges arrested too, and I'm fully on board with that sentiment, that the judges that let these violent criminals go, over and over again, throw them in prison, I'm on board with that. I'm absolutely on board with judicial responsibility. Absolutely. But the cops don't get to make that call. The cops don't have the authority to pass sentencing on anyone that they arrest. And I vehemently disagreed with Asmongold's take that, oh, just throw the cops in jail. Judges do, but throw the cops in jail. And it's like, no, you're basically going to you want to throw cops in jail for something that they have no control over. And so, like, that, there are things that I vehemently disagree with Asmongold, but there are things that I very much agree with him on. And so bringing it back to my original point is that people that don't like Asmongold and they decide to leave his channel and go somewhere else, they're not necessarily going to go to another extreme like Hasan. I think more often than not is the people that leave Asmongold's stream, and I think even some of the ones that leave Hasan's stream, are going to look for someone that maybe has a more measured and overtly centrist approach. Someone that is not working off of extremes. Someone's not working off hyper-emotionalism when they talk about these things. So they're going to look for someone that is more even-keeled in what they do. I don't know. I don't know if I ever recall hearing White Donut wanted to stop being a cop. I don't recall if he ever mentioned that or anything. But that's the overriding fact there, is that the people are getting tired of extremes. And so people that think Asmongold's too extreme and they depart from him are not going to necessarily go to Asmongold because he is also, Hasan, because he is also extreme. They're going to try and find a streamer that's talking about social issues that doesn't operate in extremes, that they take a more even-keeled approach because they're tired of the extremes writ large. They want a more substantive middle ground streamer that talks about things, looks at both sides of things in a more open-minded area or open-minded way, and doesn't immediately jump to, like, just giving this one example that I was talking about where the cops know a criminal, but he's not in jail, so arrest the cops. People that, like, that's one extreme. And then you got Hasan that basically says America deserved 9/11 and the Palestinian terrorists are the good guys. They're going to want something other than those two extremes. Now, yes, are some going to go from Asmongold to Hasan or vice versa? Yes, of course, that's going to happen. I'm not talking in extremes here, but I'm saying probably a large portion of these audiences are going to look for something somewhere in the middle.
Both platforms Asmongold streams on versus Hasan, the overall number for Asmongold is larger. And then you go to YouTube, it's not even a fair comparison at this point. Like, I believe Asmongold probably gets like 10 times his views on the average YouTube video, and I think he uploads more on YouTube or his editors do, but yeah, I don't really know where this claim of people peeling away. And then he gets into this, like, very pandering message about people who are going through a very difficult financial situation and how it hasn't changed and that the population is feeling the pain right now. Dude, nobody wants to hear this from Hasan or his community, by the way. If you're someone who is feeling the pain or financially struggling or something like that, if you're someone who doesn't...
By the way, chat, I'm going to remind you that this is the picture of quote-unquote manliness that people on the left, like CNN and that clearly racist author, are painting as the picture of manliness. This right here is their vision of manly. This person who is clearly in the closet. Okay, Hasan is so far into the fucking closet, he's putting up shelving units. I mean, he's wearing fucking... Oh, God. I've talked about this before. The fucking pants. He's wearing fucking capri pants. The man is wearing fucking capri pants and is doing the metrosexual pose.
What the f is that?
It's nothing. That's why there's nothing there, Sarge. I don't know what you're reaching for. There's nothing there for you to grab.
Share all of the same opinions as Hasan and his community. They hate you. They literally hate you. And they probably celebrate and revel in any sort of suffering you have.
Well, you did dress up as a maid, Jack.
Everyone knows this. It's not a secret. But, of course, his rant about Asmongold would continue.
You just really can't stop thinking about him, huh? Rent-free and everything. Sad. Very sad to see you come to this.
Yep.
Yeah. Asmongold has talked more times about me on his broadcast every single day. Demanded my deplatforming. I've never even demanded Asmongold get deplatformed. Sucks to suck, bitch.
Because he's farming you, dumbass. That's the funny part. Either Hasan is too fucking stupid to realize that Asmon, does not give a fuck about Hasan, and he's literally just farming him for content. Well, he's desperately trying to make it seem like he doesn't know that Asmongold is farming him for content and that he's giving him content every fucking day. Yeah, every time Asmongold responds in any way, he's giving Asmongold free content. Every fucking day, he's just handing him free content because Hasan's become a lol cow. And Asmon is greedily milking that overinflated, bloated teat. And it works for him. He's getting more followers. He's getting more people in his audience because Hasan is a lol cow. And I'm sure he is oh so butthurt. I think Hasan actually realizes he's a lol cow. But I think he's oh so butthurt about it. He's trying to do everything possible to pretend like he's not a lol cow and act like he's still some kind of visionary hero for the left. Because, Asmongold is living rent-free in his head. Absolutely.
Numbers on the board. Asmongold has a 100-to-1 ratio to my commentary on him versus his commentary on me. You could say it's delusional. Facts are still facts. This is projection.
And you're delusional. That's the fact.
In the off chance that you see me covering Asmongold, especially because he's doing a serious attitude shift right now because he smells that there's blood in the water, and you can cope all day. But if you look at Asmongold,
what me fucking cattle, Hasan, all you do is cope and save. The moment someone brings up Hasan, you immediately default into cope and seethe for the next at least 5 minutes.
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Asmon has literally... Okay, you want to hear something funny? Hasan's literally been clicker trained. He has literally... Hasan has literally been clicker trained. And the clicker is someone bringing up Asmongold. The minute someone brings up Asmongold, he has to start coping and seething. So he has literally been clicker trained just like a dog to Asmongold's name. And his audience knows it. And that's why they always bring it up, because they know they type in that word, click, click, and they know he's going to react. Yeah, it's literally the speak, click, click, Asmongold. It's literally his speak command. How does it feel, Hasan, to know that you've been clicker trained so fucking easily?
YouTube channels, if you look at Asmongold's YouTube channel versus my YouTube channel, what
Asmongold
I choose
blows you away.
to actually cut from my stream and post on my YouTube channel, for every 2 videos on Asmongold that I do as the largest political commentary person.
Wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong,
Amber,
wrong,
are you Schrodinger's cat while
wrong.
training Pavlov's dog?
You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. 100% fucking wrong. Asmongold is the current top political streamer, and he's not even trying. This is known. That's why he's coping and seething. Ever since Asmongold passed him by as being the top quote-unquote political streamer, and has not even tried to be, Asmongold has been butthurt to the extreme and has never recovered. Yeah, exactly. He yaps and it just happens. He doesn't actually try to be political. He's social. He talks about social stuff. But he leapfrogged over Hasan, and Hasan has never recovered. He's never gotten over it. And he is still a bigger political streamer than Hasan is. And Hasan hates it. Absolutely hates it.
And on this platform now, botted or not botted, doesn't matter, versus how much he talks about me, there is a major disparity.
Does it literally get any more rent-free than this? It is actually insane. I mean, it's really true, right? He could stub his toe in his $3 million mansion, and his first thought is, why did Asmongold do this to me? Or, what does Asmongold think about this situation? It is crazy, okay? The chat are saying rent-free, you're a brave...
What?
brave soldier, okay? You're gonna get probably permabanned, but that's kind of Hasan's thing, especially recently. He likes to pull up chatters who dare to question anything he's saying, and they try to basically publicly humiliate these people before eventually banning them, because they dare to ask any sort of question or make any sort of criticism that goes against what he's trying to accomplish. And him talking about Asmongold, talking about him at a 100-to-1 ratio is completely delusional, okay? That doesn't even pass the whiff test, okay? Everyone knows that is completely delusional.
And by the way, Remy, I talked over it because I was rolling, but yeah. I don't know if I would be considered Schrodinger's cat girl. I don't know if that's a correct assessment, because I am a sometimes cat girl. I'm an anime sometimes cat girl. That is not Schrodinger's. That just I am exhibiting red cat behavior. I'm a cat when I wish to be.
There's no way it's even anywhere near that. In fact, if you wanted to have a clearer picture, you'd probably just reverse that ratio, he said. It's clearly Hasan who's always bringing up Asmongold, and then Asmongold has the nerve to respond. Also, if you don't want people talking about you, stop saying and doing ridiculous things. And he says, as proof, that facts are still facts. And of course, has nothing to show for it. Okay, he just wants you to accept his word. And I'm sure his audience does. I'm sure his audience does believe this 100-to-1 ratio, but that's the way it works over there.
I think some of his audience does. We've seen it. We've seen plenty of fucking pushback at him lately. So I think some of his audience. I will be generous and say half of his audience actually believes what Hasan says. And I'm being generous. The other half is there either to hate watch him or to dunk on him. It's one of those two. Like, the half is either hate watching or they literally are there to dunk on him the whole time.
And then you hear that part, right? He really emphasizes, I am the largest political commentary channel on Twitch, on that platform. He's very specific with his description. You know why? Because it's technically true once again, because a few months ago, Asmongold started dual streaming on Kick, thus splitting his audience up onto two platforms, once again restoring Hasan to the position of top political commentary.
Okay. So because Asmongold, okay, I did not know that when Asmongold decided to do his stream split, that it reduced his audience enough that Hasan was able to inch up above Asmongold as the quote-unquote top political streamer. Yeah, and it's only on Twitch. Only on Twitch. When you factor in both Twitch and Kick, Asmongold still blows Hasan away. And Asmongold is only no longer the top political streamer, without even trying again, I'll remind you, is that because he dual streams now. And with Kick, like Rev just said, he's split his audience, so there is a bit less of an audience on Twitch, but there's still a substantial amount on Kick, and they're all going to him for the exact same reason.
Channel on Twitch. Something that is very important to him. Okay, that is the most important thing.
It's because
He's
he can't
crashing out
stream.
for
It's because he won't
months
stream on Kick,
about-
Jack. Sorry, Rev. This is another factor. Is Hasan either doesn't want to or can't stream on Kick. And so because that all he has is Twitch, whereas Asmongold does both Twitch and Kick. And therein lies it, is he still has a larger overall audience between the two platforms. He's still bigger than Hasan, as Hasan Hasan would get his ass handed to him on Kick. If Hasan streamed on Kick, then every single one of his audience members on Kick would just be dumpstering on him. Instead of it being only half, like on Twitch, it would be 100% of people just shoving his head into a toilet the entire fucking stream.
Losing that title to Asmongold, and now he's got it back, and he's making sure you know about it. But let's continue on with the clip, because there's more stuff we have to talk about.
Call into question whether or not he is a sincere political actor. He is capable of presenting himself as this like honest guy by living in filth.
Except Asmongold isn't a political actor. That's the thing that Hasan keeps teasing about. He keeps coping by saying by calling Asmongold a political actor when he's not political. Asmongold is not political. He's social, not political. But people still look to him for political commentary in the social sphere more than they look at Hasan. And yeah, he doesn't live in filth anymore. He literally, when he had that 2-week ban, he cleaned his whole fucking house. He's actually straightened things up. Really? Really? We're doing this again. Stop. That'll do.
Every one of his fans goes, oh, he obviously doesn't care about anything. He doesn't care about money. He still lives in this like filthy home, right? So clearly he's like honest, not realizing that you can live in a situation like that. And that's marketing, I guess, to a certain degree, when your position, your worldview is inconsistent. You look to someone like myself and you go, oh, Hasan is a socialist, but he dresses nice. He showers daily. He has a nice home to live in with his family. Okay. And it's clean. Obviously that's hypocritical. Look to my output.
Now, dumb fuck. I have a clean home and I dress nice. Motherfucker, you have $1 million mansion and you dress in Gucci. Whereas Asmongold is living in his family home. He is living in the home that his parents owned forever and a day and has chosen to live there. You got $1 million mansion in fucking wherever you are in LA and you are constantly wearing Gucci. Yeah, there's a big fucking difference between the two of you. It's not my house is clean and I wear nice clothes. Nice try to conflate what you actually do. You are a narcissistic enrichment fiend, and that's all you care about.
Listen to my words. My positions on things do not change.
I love that part about listen to my words. Buddy, we have been listening to your words and watching your actions for many, many years. This is why people look at your actions like zapping dogs, glazing terrorists, calling for political violence, things like that. The list goes on and on. We know what you're saying and we know what you're doing.
And that part just made me realize, by the way, Gramps, thank you. That part just made me think of something. There is the overriding difference. Well, actually, no. No, I was about to say something, but I just realized that I'm wrong. in my train of thought. My train of thought there was incorrect. So never mind. Moving on.
That's why people don't have respect for you or have massive criticism for you. I think that's very easy to understand.
Yes, it
and he
is,
also
Queen
says
Elizabeth
his positions
Pepper.
don't change. That's rich. Okay, this guy flip-flops the second it becomes convenient for him. And, I mean, if you flip-flopped or change your opinion, like saying America deserves...
Well, okay, I should clarify. Hasan flip-flops if his audience flip-flops. Because Hasan is audience capture. So if his audience flips on something, then he will flip to match that. Because he's desperate to keep his audience, he's desperate to keep his popularity. So that's where the flip-flopping comes into play, is depending on where his audience moves the goalpost to, is where he will move his own personal goalposts.
9/11, or you're 10 toes down with the Houthis, or you have no issue with terrorist groups like Hezbollah. Like, do you still believe in those positions? I don't know. I know he doesn't want to bring those up again because they were such a disaster for his reputation. But the part that's absolutely nutty is the socialist aspect. He says, I'm not a fake socialist. I just dress nice and shower. Oh, look at that. A joke about showering at the expense of Asmongold. Did you guys know his room
never
is
heard
dirty?
that before.
Yeah, that's crazy. I haven't heard that before. But yeah, this guy saying that he's not a fake socialist while living in a $3 million mansion. Yeah, I mean, he's got to live there, guy. He has no choice. Capitalism literally forced him to live there. You guys have no idea. This whole thing is so ridiculous.
And don't forget, he grew up poor in a millionaire family. He went to private schools where he could ride horseback, and he gained his career purely through nepotism. But don't forget, everyone, Hasan grew up poor. We should all feel so bad for him because he grew up poor, going to expensive, private schools, riding horseback, living in mansions, living, with family that earn millions upon million, that family of millionaires, nepotism giving him his entire career. But we should sympathize that he grew up, quote unquote, poor.
He's the type of guy who, in this situation, likes to call right-wing commentary a well-funded grift. And then he says they're trying to use the super wealthy to keep the working class occupied. Oh, yes. I love hearing from a guy driving around a $250,000 luxury vehicle about the working class being held down. Oh, what a poor guy. This champagne socialist is such a clown. And look at people in a related thread just clowning on him. Who's we? With a picture of Hasan in his equestrian days, back when he was in his rags to riches story, right? He was in the rags part. He was really financially struggling at this time when he was riding around horses. Crazy. Hasan is a part of the super wealthy. Yeah. This man spends so much time watching Asmongold that he started using Asmongold's words to suit his own agenda. The Nepo baby socialist calling anyone a grifter will always be hilarious. Yes.
Yes, it will be.
I mean, what else do you say at this point? The delusions. If you're a Hasan fan or glazer and you still haven't gotten it, that this guy is full of BS. He's a complete contradiction of everything he pretends to stand for. I don't know what else you could see at this point.
But his audience. Say it, Rev.
Would share in a couple of clips here.
Here we go.
Some of his grievances, or responding to at least Hasan's grievances of him. And a lot of it is the typical Hasan Piker system, right? Just completely making things up. And I do like how he points out this dichotomy of whenever Hasan or his orbiters or anyone like them brings up someone like Asmongold or a critic, they bring up a truth and a lie. And they try to meld those together to basically muddy the water.
He called your chat the #1 anti-Semitic source in this platform and blamed you for the shooting in Australia?
I did not blame... See, this is what he does.
What?
He reads a message from his chat that's not even true, and then he just goes off on it. And the thing is that he's getting mainstreamed media by his chat. And let me explain what I mean by that. Mainstream media, what they love to do is they love to splice the truth and the lie like together like a DNA helix, right? So I did say that his chat was the main source of anti-Semitism on Twitch. I did say that. And I think that is undeniable. And if you disagree with that, go watch what happened with his chat. These were your subscribers, by the way. Your subscribers, not random viewers, your subscribers that were putting hearts in chat for the murderer of the Israeli diplomats. That's crazy, huh? Wow. It certainly.
Yeah. Oh, and we're also doing hearts when he was reading the Palestinian shooters or the pro-Palestinian shooters manifesto that shot and killed and assassinated the Israeli diplomats. When he was reading off that shooter's manifesto on stream, which he did catch a ban for, should have been a perma, it should have been longer. It was nothing but fucking hearts. Nothing but hearts in his chat when he was reading off this psychopath's manifesto. And, okay, Orphan, he called the Houthi terrorist Luffy. Yeah, but we're talking about something else. We're talking about the guy that shot the two diplomats in, I think it was in New York, if I remember. They were going to a Holocaust museum. These two diplomats from Israel were going to visit a Holocaust museum, and this pro-Palestinian person assassinated them when they were going to this museum. And Hasan read this murderer's manifesto on stream, and the entire time he's talking about it, heart. Oh, it was DC. Sorry, DC, not New York. Sorry, I got the cities wrong. DC, but it was the Holocaust Museum, and his entire chat was just hearts the whole time he was reading it.
It wasn't my chat that got the word Zionist banned, was it?
Okay,
and again, we've got some of those people in my chat too. We do. Listen, if he's number one, I might be number two, but there's a big difference between number one and number two.
Ported potentially or getting
zero. I made zero. I said you should have said thank you to the Trump administration for making sure that you weren't a terrorist because you had interviewed a terrorist. This is not crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't say that you should have been deported. He shouldn't be deported. He shouldn't be. Listen, clip it. This is it. Hasan should not be deported at this time.
So yes, as we talked about here, truth and a lie.
Time, I like
there
it.
was a truth. Asmongold did say that he believes that Hasan's chat is the biggest source of anti-Semitism on Twitch.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people agree with that. In fact, the word Zionist was banned because of Hasan. In fact, there was another rule made because of Hasan and his community, where now you can't read manifestos anymore, because despite even being in emote-only mode, his own subscribers were spamming hearts while hearing the manifesto of a person who murdered two Israeli diplomats in cold blood. Like I said, he created those rules, his community, because they're so unhinged and anti-Semitic. Okay?
Yes, Hackle, it was one day on his
about what
day
Asmongold
off.
said.
You are
then
correct.
you have the lie that's tagged in there where his chat claims that Asmongold blamed Hasan for the mass shooting, the terrorist attack in Australia, in Bondi, that happened a couple days ago, which he never did. Okay, we all know he never did that. And then you have the part about the deportation.
What there was, okay, side note here. People were so extremely fast to jump to the fact that, well, if you know, Muslims are so evil because the two mass shooters, the two mass murderers for that shooting at Bondi Beach were Muslims. They were Muslims. They were one. I think it's been discovered that the surviving son was actually discovered to be part of some radical Islamist group. I forget the name of it off the top of my head, but the son was actually part of, or he was not ISIS. I don't think it was ISIS. It was, I can't think of the name of it. Yeah, it was some Islamic Brotherhood. He was in communications with it wasn't ISIS or the Taliban. It wasn't any of the, was it? I didn't think it was ISIS. I thought it was an offshoot. I didn't think it was specifically ISIS. But it was a Muslim extremist group. It was. He was like part of a Muslim extremist group. And the individual who disarmed the son during the shooting, the individual that there's video footage where he runs up and disarms the son, gets the gun away from him, gets the gun from him and keeps him on the ground at gunpoint until the police can get to him. A lot of people are like, well, that guy was Muslim. So how can you say that Muslims are bad because the person that disarmed the shooter, he was Muslim? It's like very easily forgetting that people are not saying that all Muslims are evil. It's that the extremists, and unfortunately, there are a lot of extremists in Islam. There are a disgusting amount of extremists in Islam, and that's what people hate. That's what people, when people say that, when people talk about any anti-Muslim stuff, they're talking about the extremists. They're talking about the terrorists. They're talking about the ones that go illegally migrate into the Western civilization and refuse to assimilate and basically bring their barbaric cultures to Western nations so they can start raping women and children and say, well, that's part of my faith. I can do it. That's what people have an issue with. That's the kind of Muslims that people have an issue with. But they very conveniently ignore that part and just pivot to, well, you hate all Muslims then, don't you?
Asmongold has never said that, but of course, in true fashion, it goes on. And you get more lies, and you start getting more rules for thee, but not for me.
Yeah. How many videos did he do on the Sabra hummus is anti-Semitic? Now he's over here talking about
Sabra hummus is anti-Semitic. Oh, the Jew to Arab tier list. Why was Ben Shapiro at the bottom of it? It's interesting.
I shit on leftist.
I knew he was going to do
it. Principles and the way that leftists operate and the way that leftists can present themselves, carry themselves.
Yeah. Because in your mind, don't forget, he literally said when he was at some kind of a speaking event. No, Alex, no, he's right. Because when he was at some kind of a speaking event, he literally said, if you're a leftist and you don't think like I do, you're far right. That's the way his brain works. Is that if you're a leftist and you don't think like me, then I consider you to be far right. So anything that is not his narrow-minded way of thinking when it comes to leftism is considered alt-right. He literally said that at a speaking event. That was recorded, and that's how I know about it, is because it was broadcast on, I think, one of Rev's videos. Is he said that anyone that doesn't think, I'm paraphrasing, anyone that doesn't think like I do is far right. That is how his brain works.
On the internet and all around.
Well, what you do is you criticize people that are woke shaming and woke scolding, and unless it's
okay, Gaslight, I do want to point this out, and this is not criticism of you, but here's the thing when it comes to any religious teachings, okay? Any religious teachings throughout the history of mankind, with perhaps the exception of Buddhism. Buddhism might be perhaps the one exception to this rule. Every religious teaching throughout the history of humanity has been extreme across the board. Every single one. I don't care what fucking religion you're talking about. Literally every religion since the history of mankind inventing religion has been extreme across the board. Because they were invented in a time when people didn't understand how the world works. And so they only thought they lacked critical thinking capabilities back when religion was created. And so because they lack critical thinking skills, they created extremes to explain everything because that's just how their brain worked. And yes, Nicodemus, I don't disagree that there have been extreme Buddhists, but they are few and far between. You're talking about the ones that basically like douse themselves in fire and light themselves on fire. Those are few and far between. But Buddhism, Buddhism is probably the one religion that doesn't really operate in extremes. Every single other religion throughout the history of humans operates in extremes. Every fucking
There are
one of them.
variants of Buddhism that gave birth to militant warrior monks in Japan.
There you go. But that's a variant of Buddhism. Variant is not the same thing. All right, so that's one thing I need to be very perfectly clear on with what you said about, it's people like that the Muslim faith is extreme across the board. That's true for literally every religion. The thing is many people of varying religions rose above that. And while billions of people still use religion as sort of a guiding force for their lives, they have risen above the extremes that are laden throughout all of the religious texts. And they understand, okay, we shouldn't be living our lives in these extremes, but there are guidelines there within the words that we can live by to live happily and peacefully. So anybody that says like, oh, well, the Muslim faith is horrible because it's all extremes, they all are. Every religion is extreme because they were written during a time where people were stupid compared to modern day in terms of understanding how the world works. And that's just how, when religion was invented, that's how they explained literally everything. And so everything was written in extremes. That's it.
It's you doing it, then it's different. Unless it's you tweeting woke is back. So this seems like a very self-serving value.
Person that called out Israel with maximum intensity.
Because you guys used Israel's bad behavior as a shield for your own. That's the reason why. You tried to launder the legitimate, real problem that Palestinians have with your own personal vendettas, your own personal politics, and your own personal reputation. Like, you can't tell me that Frogan calling Ludwig a cracker is helping Palestinians whenever she's telling him not to donate to Palestinians.
Now, come on, Asmongold. Are you sure
his money
that
is too
Frogan's race-based tier list where they put Arabs in the S tier and Jews in the F tier, are you sure that didn't save countless Palestinians? Are you also sure that Frogan calling Ludwig a cracker and discouraging him from donating $10,000 to Palestinians, are you sure that didn't save countless lives? Yeah, these people in their activism is so ridiculous, and everyone sees through this. And again, you got some truths and then a bunch of lies mixed in, okay? And that's how Hasan and his community operate, because he also believes everything his chat says. Like, it's a real problem. Okay, that's advice I can give to anyone. He's not going to listen to it, obviously. But to anyone out there, don't believe everything your chat says, especially when you get into a pattern of it where they start understanding that you're going to believe them, so they start trolling you or just trying to use you as some sort of a
again, Hasan's chat has clicker trained him. And it's fucking hilarious. And I'm hoping that people watch the video that I put out tomorrow of this and realize, oh yeah, he actually is. We now know the trigger word to get him to go off. And I really do hope, and no, I'm not calling for a brigade here. I really do hope that more people realize how clicker trained he is and go into his chat and start clicking. I really do, because that will be fucking hilarious.
Onto it to get some slander across against someone the chatter doesn't like. But anyways, you can see he doesn't like when the rules are made against him, and this sort of like this woke scolding thing is something that he is suffering from. In fact, there's another clip here where he's getting canceled by his own chat for being a misogynist because he's basically saying women in certain positions only got there because of the amount of sexual favors they provided.
It's pretty funny because everybody hates her. Like, why wouldn't you hate her? Why would you not hate her? If you are a lifelong career reporter, journalist, editor, producer, whatever, okay, and you've sucked a mountain of dicks, okay, every day is a climb on Dick Mountain, and you're sucking it, okay, and then
champion of women, everyone. The modern leftist feminist, everyone. Oh yes, he's a big champion of women, isn't he? Yeah. And he's also saying this about CNN, which enough said about that. So he's basically being misogynistic and calling her, like saying that she got her way by sucking her way to the top. And it's CNN. Kill him, this guy's a moron.
Barry Weiss, who objectively sucked less dicks, but the right kind of dicks, gets one on you. And now she's commanding the entire franchise. You're like, what do you mean? I've been climbing Dick Mountain every goddamn day. You mean to tell me that you could helicopter your way to the top because you sucked one cock? That's bullshit. Girl getting clipped for hating women? What? I don't know what you're talking about, but it's true. Look. He will not understand. There being a fascist.
Hey, hang on. You could just stop using sex as a metaphor for cozying up to people. It's gross and frat boy behavior. Someone pulling out his frat boy history. Love it. Combus Bible Lemon. Okay. There being fascist takeover happening is not a green light to just ignore your own progress, my guy. 34-month subscriber. 34-month subscriber calling him out again.
Whatever happening is not a green light to just ignore your own progress, my guy. I like that you know you're going to be here tomorrow to do this when it happens. And I'm excited to yell at you and block you. And then have Asmongold also use you as a point of propaganda with another 2 million view video where he's like, Hasan's own audience is turning on him.
See? Because it is. Because it is, dumbass. You literally just bragged that you can't handle getting called out and you're going to ban him. Because he's calling you out and you can't defend yourself. And again, as Mangold mentioned.
Can you believe how gross and misogynistic he is? Chatter kind of right? Guys, this is how it always goes. This is how it always goes. Oh my God.
Did you see that one? This one. Another one. Chatter's kind of right. 52-month subscriber. A 52-month subscriber is calling him out. He's losing him. He's absolutely losing him.
This is how it always goes. Oh my God. Randy draws a lot. I mean, saying a woman suck dicks get their position. First of all, Barry Weiss is not even a straight.
43. Are you noticing a pattern? And yes, he brought up, Hasan's the one that brought up Asmongold. I mean, saying a woman suck dicks to get her position she's not qualified for does sound pretty sexist. A 43-month. Do you notice the pattern you've seen? All the people calling him out have been subscribers of his for years. They're finally waking up. His longtime subscribers are finally waking up and going, holy shit, this guy's a dumbass and he's completely full of shit. What the hell am I doing with my life? It's about fucking time, but they're finally waking up. Yeah. Exactly, Tony. It's just like everything that happens on the left. They will never hesitate to devour their own the second they step 1 inch out of line. They'll devour you to try and consume your power or perceived power. And he did step out of line because he just went full misogynistic. And that's a big no-no on the left.
Woman, okay. And secondly, we're not even talking about just Barry Weiss. We're talking about virtually everyone that kiss asses, if you don't want me to say sucking. And last but not least, once again, metaphor, euphemism for brown nosing, okay? When I say I f*** your mom, that doesn't mean I like literally raped your mother, okay? Please stop doing this. I can't. As soon as I fucking noticed one, of course there is going to be a million other people in the chat that are now piling on as well.
This is actually very easy to break down, okay?
Actually pinpoint the second when his heart rips in half.
This is the hypocrisy. Hasan's going to act like what he's doing is just metaphors or hyperbole or something like that to get his point across. But imagine if Ethan Klein said these exact same comments. How would Hasan and his community view that? They would call him a disgusting misogynist, and they would try to ruin his life. But when Hasan does it
for weeks.
Well, I guess it's just a hyperbole or an exaggeration to get a point across. This is exactly what Asmongold was also talking about with this woke scolding. He loves to use it against other people, but when it's used against himself, he...
Next guy, Asmongold's considering it. When he found out about Billy Dilly, he went on there. A lot of people are putting Asmongold content on Billy. He said that he might actually try to dual stream or triple stream Twitch, Kick, and Billy. He said he's considering. Now, he won't go on YouTube. He has flat out said that he will never go on YouTube. Gee, I wonder why. And I think that's part of the reason why Asmongold is thinking about trying to stream on Billy Dilly is the fact that they show so much of him on it, and Hasan got banned on it, and I think he's seriously considering it.
He starts to crash out, including crashing out on his own audience. He admits too, in many different clips, that these are his viewers that are mad at him. A lot of these people are his longtime subscribers. We've seen people who have been subscribed to him for years making a comment saying basically, dude, what happened to you? And he still singles them out and tries to shame them publicly in his chat. It's very, very funny to see, if we're being honest. And again, like, who would ever believe Hasan Bro Tips Piker would ever say anything that would be...
Can we just stop for a moment? This is the bastion of masculinity for the left. Wearing the Chimbro zip-down polo and pink short pants with no socks. The pinnacle of masculinity for that supposedly the Democratic Party is trying to court. Right here.
Misogynistic. I cannot believe this, ladies and gentlemen. But let's wrap this out, okay? We had to have one more too, right? So apparently Hasan is now once again defending Houthi terrorists. Can you believe it?
Here we go.
He's not just interviewing them, he is defending them. In fact, he's saying that the actions of the United States, like the targeted attacks on submarines ran by the cartel that are bringing in fentanyl to various countries, taking those out is totally wrong. But when Houthi pirates shoot missiles at civilian ships even, and doing anything they want, and causing harm and destruction everywhere they go, that's totally fine with Hasan. That's totally the righteous side, and then the bad side is the United States for taking out the cartels for pushing fentanyl into various countries.
This is known. He hates America.
Guys, please stop and think of the cartel members. Golly.
Yes.
Just think of them for a second. Yeah, this guy is completely
delusional.
Members, the fact that anyone would be mad at the one but justifying the other, complete hypocrite, totally stupid. But I mean, what do you expect at this point? This guy is still going to be getting the puff pieces. He says he doesn't pay for them. Guess we'll have to take his word on that. I mean, there has to be a reason why someone would write these.
I legit don't think he paid for this one because, again, look at the journalist. I'm going to hazard a guess and say that if you were to look up this journalist's previous works, they're all pro-Palestinian, they're all anti-Israel. So, of course, this person was desperate to do a puff piece on Hasan and go lapping at his glistening chest. This is one particular piece that I don't think he paid for, and this person probably just was just soaking wet at the idea of being able to do a piece on Hasan.
Shameless articles that are like almost always following the same format of glazing him up politically and then glazing up his appearance. It's like literally a signature of any of these puff pieces. But anyways, that's going to do for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.
I'm legit wondering, once, if my video can get some traction, if we're going to see, if my video can somehow manage to get enough traction, I kind of am curious if people are going to start using the clicker on Hasan. Because if they do, I'm going to laugh my ass off at it.